A YouTuber named Sonia Said is making a vlog about life in general when she decides to take a rest in the park on a nice Sunday. Big mistake.
I have some guy staring at me in front of me. He's been like holding the tree.
Notice how he lines himself perfectly out of her sight. He could come from behind and she wouldn't be able to see it coming.
What am I doing? You guys are about to see him right now. And I am gonna leave. What a weirdo. There he is. So weird. People are so creepy.
He is definitely facing her way when she decides that she's had enough.
And now we get up and go.
He's still facing her direction long after she goes, arms innocently behind his back like nothing's wrong.
So creepy. People are so creepy.
Now, if this stranger's behavior doesn't make you say bruh, I don't know what will. Will you expect to find some creepy stuff in an abandoned funeral home? Abandoned remains are probably not among the usual suspects. Published to YouTube by RNK All Day in March of 2020, the channel writes, "We found ashes inside an abandoned funeral home that was condemned due to the funeral director leaving and hiding bodies. It was located in North Carolina. It was closed down in 2012 after client complaints. The funeral home's former owner was put behind bars for not burying the individuals." RNK All Day explores this home and its unnerving history. Amongst the creepy things found inside are Polaroids of the passed on individuals and a squatter's bed made up inside the building. But of course, the most unsettling thing they encountered was a bag of ashes in a torn cardboard box. According to a timestamp on the box, they were from 1995, meaning they've remained there for over 2 decades. Let's hope they finally received a proper burial. A beautiful home built in 1934 turned ugly when in 2009, the real estate mogul who bought the home took his wife's life, claiming the woman went missing on a hike. A search began for his wife but turned up nothing. A year later, the man put a new addition on his home that raised enough suspicion for police to request a search warrant. They found the wife buried beneath the home. The man was given more than 20 years behind bars, and the house remains abandoned. Published by Dark Exploration Films, this walkthrough of the home is incredibly disturbing. Taking viewers through the grounds and inside the home, the explorer comes upon the hole in which the woman was buried.
Let's go into the room that everybody wants to see. So this room was added in 2009. And once the police found out about this construction, they were a little skeptical.
Many in the comments are bewildered that anyone could live in the home they buried their wife in without getting telltale-hearted to the point of insanity. Others feel a sense of darkness and foreboding and even a feeling of sadness there. Surely, the woman's spirit remains. It's midnight when Sylvia Slarb gets an iPhone notification that someone is at her door. She looks out the window and doesn't see anything, so she goes back to sleep. The next morning, she remembers the incident and quickly checks her phone. This weird shining orb is what her doorbell cam automatically recorded on that night. I have no logical explanation for this aside from a possible insect, but as far as I know, a bug this small and this far away should not be able to trip the sensor. Therefore, I cannot exclude the paranormal as well. Is there someone hiding out of sight in this wreckage? Published by PH Red Fox, Yoon Sai-won is exploring an abandoned house in Korea when he hears this sound.
안녕하세요.
Is it an animal? A dog? He breaks out his EMF meter, which starts going haywire. He says it's not useful here because they're at the location's deepest point.
이제는 무의미. 여기 가장 깊숙한 데 와버려가지고.
Using facial recognition software, a scary face is recognized where there seems to be no one. It's recognized again, closer to him this time. Later, while using a spirit box, Saiwan gets the fright of his life. A bang is heard coming from someone unseen. A short while later, he is visited again by the spirit.
아, 씨, 뭐야 또?
But he sees nothing, and no one amongst the mess. Is Saiwan being stalked? And if so, by what? April and Kevin of a YouTube channel called AK Explorations team up with some of their ghost hunting friends to take on the Florida Grand Opera House, a historic location established in 1884 that is rumored to have acquired quite a few spirits over the past 135 years. April stands behind the scenes and gazes upon a row after row of empty seats. She's busy taking in the sights when she captures this paranormal moment on camera. At 4 minutes and 48 seconds, a shadow figure walks between the red curtains on the other side of the opera. I was thinking that this could have just been the shadow of one of the other people she was with, except for 3 things. First, there's also a passing shadow on her side of the room at 4 minutes and 46 seconds. It happens next to her, and exactly 2 seconds before it happens again on the other side of the room. Second, there's a really weird noise before the shadow person appears. She kinda makes a sigh, but there's also like a shrieking noise or something at the same time. Third of all, these orbs appear when she tries to tell Kevin about the experience.
Who's back there? I waited. I saw someone walk back there.
Next, they go to the balcony seats, and a strange feeling overtakes April at 7 minutes and 27 seconds.
Weird up here, guys. Let's sit here for a minute. Actually, here for a minute.
This strange white anomaly appears 2 seconds after she says she doesn't feel normal up here. It does look like a floating hair, but it also kind of looks like a phantom outline walking down the steps. The feeling grows so strong that she needs to step away and regather her thoughts. She turns around and is sure she's being watched again, and I'm almost sure I see the curtains move right where she believes it to be.
Guys, it feels really weird. Right here. Chelsea's doing her ovilus down there.
When AK Explorations aren't exploring fancy operas, they are usually busy investigating much less sophisticated haunts, like this chicken farm in the middle of nowhere. Eyes are on them from afar before they've even stepped foot inside, hopefully those of a wild animal rather than a restless spirit, though probably the latter based on what they soon encounter.
Middle of the night, by ourselves.
April immediately feels watched as they enter the abandoned home. She turns around and her light barely manages to catch more eyes, along with whatever this is.
Sorry, I heard something behind me.
It's a different color than the surrounding green plants, and it looks much closer than anything else, possibly even on the porch with her. She doesn't notice and moves on. Inside, all of the windows are blacked out so that no light gets through. Though I don't know why anyone would choose to do this, and I was hoping you might have a reason for it. In the corner of the living room is a knotted rope surrounded by flies. I don't know what happened here, but I'm glad they didn't check to see what's inside the black garbage bag right next to the rope. Next, April and Kevin sweep over the house with a black light to see if there are any signs of a struggle. Sure enough, at 10 minutes and 33 seconds, they find a red stain on the bed that is not visible without their equipment. A second similar red stain is found on the mattress at 10 minutes and 42 seconds, so something happened here. A noise interrupts April right as she suspects someone could still be in here.
Do you hear that?
I'll admit that I didn't hear anything at first, but soon a strange hum fills the air. This house has no power, so nothing should be humming at all. You really hear it at 11 minutes and 30 seconds.
Babe, come here. Oh, come here, let's go here.
The noise guides them to one room in particular. Something in their mind tells them not to go any further. A sixth sense warning that danger is near. April reasons that the floor might not be able to support their weight, but I'm pretty sure they felt the presence of whatever this is.
Is this just, you think it's safe to walk on?
It's a noise they do not hear until they watch the video much later. Looking back, all they knew was that it was time to leave. This scary video clip captured not just one misty spirit miraculously floating atop the water, but a second emerging from below. Posted to TikTok by Horror Talk, the apparition gracefully glides on the water's surface, only for his brother's head to appear, materializing from the same point in the water. It grows upwards, but we're left to wonder where the pair of spirits wandered off to, and from where they came. Some in the comments think this is a weather balloon, others say it's La Llorona, the weeping woman who roams the waterfront. What do you think it could be? Have you ever heard something in nature that doesn't sound natural at all? This video was cross-posted by Cursed Curses to the Chills Narrator subreddit, who thought these sounds were weird enough to share. Originally posted to What Is This by Sir M Sport, the redditor explains that the strange sound seems to be originating from the woods and the sky surrounding his house in rural Georgia. He said although his phone ran out of battery, he heard the sounds long after the recording ends. The user asks the Reddit community for help in identifying the source of these sounds, after asking a few of his neighbors, who said they hadn't heard such noises before. One of these neighbors, who lives on a hill, said the sounds definitely seem to be coming directly from the sky. Listen closely. The noises sound like irregular high-speed traffic for a moment. But then another tone enters in, like a spaceship door opening. The murmur continues, oscillating slightly. There are many theories in the comments, with Wolfish Fluff coming up with one of the most likely theories, suggesting that it sounds like a power plant or generator farm. He notes the revving up sound could be the activation. He writes, "My guess is that there is one of these facilities somewhere in your area, and the sound is coming from the sky because you're far enough away that basically the sound is bouncing off the atmosphere and then traveling to you. This would cause the muffling and the distortion." Other less likely theories include alligators, unknown flying objects, or a big tunnel. Any other suggestions? What do you think these sounds may be? In another mysterious incident, two girls were sitting at their play table eating. While one of the girls' mothers filmed, suddenly the friend became distressed and began crying, while clearly seeing something in the empty room in front of her. Eventually, she got up and walked away, still crying. While the woman attempted to understand what was going on, her daughter looked behind her and began staring at something. Without warning, she lets out a chilling scream before fleeing behind her mother.
Turn around. But you gotta listen to me. Turn around, look at me. What's the matter?
She went from laughing at her friend to being scared of whatever the both of them saw. Unfortunately, nothing is clearly noticeable on the video, but the girls' reactions are too realistic to be faked. Something clearly scared them badly. So far, No other videos have been released by the woman, and it is left to viewer speculation as to what was seen or if any further events happened after. Any of our viewers with children, if you see your child speaking to someone, or they're suddenly afraid without explanation, think twice before dismissing it as their imagination. At first, Redditor Dawn Granger believes this sound was in her imagination, but then she recorded it. Listen closely. It sounds like a strangled scream. Some in the comments think it's just air escaping a container of some kind. Others think it's a trapped animal. I wouldn't rule out a portal to the fiery depths below, but those two theories also seem likely. This sound is for sure something you don't want to be imagining. A man is in a Mexican graveyard at 1:28 in the morning to see if a local legend about a crying girl is true. He has been waiting around for a while and is about to leave when suddenly he hears someone sobbing and sees a girl kneeling in the distance. He calls out to see if she is okay.
Amiga, niña. Ay, no seas imbécil.
I think it's strange that he would go to the graveyard all by himself, but then again, he probably didn't think anything would really happen, or maybe he couldn't find anyone brave enough to go with him. Either way, if he had more witnesses or a better camera, then I would be more inclined to believe this video was legit. It's 2008 and two friends record themselves playing video games because they're bored and live streaming doesn't exist yet. As they're getting frustrated at Mario and talk trash on each other's skills, they both fail to see a ghostly watcher at the window. At 43 seconds, a pale blue face appears and then fades away. It could be a ghost in the window like they claim, but I think more realistically, it was probably a reflection of one of their friends in the same room as them. It kind of looks like one of their friends is shining a flashlight up at their face to give a spooky effect, even though this video has been freaking people out for over 12 years now. I think it's most likely staged. These underground tunnels in Manchester, England were once used to escape air raids in the 1940s. Countless people huddled for their lives down here in mass, and their collective theory is thought to have left a haunting impression ever since. Now a YouTube channel called Dark Arts TV investigates these tunnels to see what he can discover with his own eyes. It isn't long before his blue light shines upon a rail-thin figure standing at a bizarre angle. They are a good distance away, but it looks like they might be wearing baggy trousers and a vest with oversized sleeves, reminiscent of the 40s era. If this is not a ghost to you, then what do you think this is? As he turns the corner, his camera picks up what appears to be a pair of human legs hanging out a small hole in the wall. What's most terrifying is how Dark Arts TV doesn't seem to notice the legs at the time, as if they weren't visible in real life. And to further back this theory, when you pause at 24 minutes and 28 seconds, the beam of his flashlight seems to move through them. Finally, as they prepare to leave, they encounter this shadowy face directly behind them. It doesn't look like a person per se, but rather the fading memory of someone who was present, now doomed to repeat a terrifying moment forever.
Eyebrows, a hairline, the chin. You can even see at the bottom here, if you can just catch the end of my thumb, where I'm covering now, there you can see the line of his neck as his head is bent round the corner.
Live TV caught the earth-trembling tsunami that smashed into Japan after a magnitude 9 quake on March 11, 2011. The images that followed are pretty terrifying. The earthquake was so powerful that it was felt everywhere, from the fjords in Norway to the ice sheet of Antarctica. It was so powerful that it redistributed the Earth's mass and shifted it on its axis. Our day's length has been cut short by a microsecond. It was so powerful that Honshu, Japan's main island, was moved about 8 feet east, and as the tsunami traversed the Pacific, 110,000 nesting seabirds were taken out by the 5-foot wave. It was so powerful that aftershocks continued to hit Japan during the year that followed, 5,000 to be exact. It was so powerful that 6 years later, and the tsunami's devastation is still being dealt with in Japan, where of the 150,000 evacuees still left, whose homes were lost to the quake, a third are still in temporary housing. As for the cost of damages in US dollars, it rang in at about 199 billion, but because the earthquake was followed up by the tsunami, and both were unexpected, the 2-in-1 had devastating results. It got worse. A cooling system failure resulted from the tsunami at the Fukushima nuclear power plant, releasing radioactive materials. A horrible event in and of itself. Told you, nature can be terrifying. This laboratory is said to be frequented by a spirit who is always near. Here you can see a door pull open by itself with no one standing on the other side. Just in case you were thinking someone could have opened it off camera, here's the same event from another angle, this time taken from the other side. No one is nearby, otherwise they would have cast a shadow on the wall, or else be visible in the reflection of the clean lab floor. Unless this door is controlled by a button we can't see, then there should be no way for it to open by itself. So what do you think? Is this real or just a staged video, cooked up by a bored scientist at work? Published in May of 2019, Erwin Saunders captures these bite-sized creatures on camera in the mossy woods of the UK. Is this a new fairy species? The little critter is seen carefully making its way through the woods. Nearly blending in with his surroundings, but this isn't the scariest part. When Erwin enters this narrow cave, he gets a bit of a surprise. Something is slithering in the darkness. It doesn't quite look like a snake, but it's making its way toward Erwin, who quickly backs out of the cave in shock.
Right, there's something there. Okay, some.
Erwin says it's a worm of European mythology, which is described as a huge limbless, wingless dragon or sea serpent. Did this nature guide just encounter 2 mythological creatures in the forest? These magical surroundings sure seem like the right habitat for them. A YouTuber named Panji Petualan is searching for frogs with his friends late at night along with anything else they can find. The team has their head down to look for prey, but at 21 minutes and 4 seconds, Panji looks up for the briefest of moments and catches this bipedal creature as it sprints away from the light. It happens so fast that they don't even appear to see it at first. It appears to be a pale white and instinctively flees from the light, which makes sense for a nocturnal creature to do. It does not make a sound as it moves, despite being the size of a human and a very close distance away. A very similar sounding shriek to the so-called cougar. This one claims the sound is coming from none other than a monster from traditional Latin America folklore known as La Llorona. According to legend, La Llorona was the unloved mother of her 2 sons. Her husband loved his sons more than her and also had an affair with another woman, causing La Llorona to break. She is said to have taken the lives of her 2 boys in a river in a rage, following them in grief by taking her own alongside their bodies. Now she wanders the earth in search of the souls of her sons. The terrifying wailing of her grief is heard throughout Latin America. Those who hear her cries are said to face misfortune or even have their lives taken, so maybe just to be on the safe side, turn down the volume for this one. published to YouTube in September of 2018, the horrifying demonic scream at the start of the video definitely doesn't sound human. In fact, it makes you want to urge whoever is filming to get someplace safe, fast. Instead, he films outside on the rain-filled streets at night as La Llorona screeches demonically in an animalistic cry. Shortly after, a more human-like woman's weeping is heard. The man approaches the phantom voice in the darkness. It's difficult to make out a figure in all this, but he speaks to her, and she responds, which makes one think this is a real human woman making these sounds, not La Llorona after all.
¿Tienes dulce? ¿Tu esposa?
After a while of the man chatting back and forth with her, and then answering his radio, the woman falls silent. Barry in the comments says, "I understand Spanish. She seems to have multiple personalities. Was that inhuman sound made by a human person? Someone with multiple personalities? Perhaps someone possessed? Or is this La Llorona in the flesh?" This creepy doll was found perched on a platform in a graveyard. What is it doing here? Posted to the oddly terrifying subreddit by Blocks, the doll's eyes follow you wherever you move. It appears to be dressed in a baptism garb, and it has 2 sharp teeth and what look like real hair. The doll just keeps watching with its eerie grin as the cameraman takes it in from all angles, while some in the comments explain that these eyes are able to follow you due to the curvature of the glass. That still doesn't explain what this creepy demon doll is doing in a graveyard. Some Redditors want this thing removed from the earth just to be safe, but Geraldine Ferrari writes, "Its eyes would still follow you. Yikes." A paranormal channel called Love to Investigate has one of the creepiest ghost videos ever, a sighting that looks real and must have been terrifying for them to have caught on camera.
I don't like looking behind shower curtains, that just creeps me right out. The bathroom again. That's pretty cool, that is.
They are exploring a haunted mental asylum when the spirit of a former patient glares at them from the hallway. When they look up, it's leaving as she makes a comment about the smell.
That's pretty cool, that is. Smells like an hospital in this part, definitely.
The apparition has long black braids and wears a long dress that women had to wear at the mental asylum long ago. The paranormal investigator later comments that they had no idea they were being watched by the supernatural at the time. Had they known, they would have ran away in the opposite direction. A rough landing in Buckland, Alaska becomes even scarier when you learn all of the things the pilot said. The fact that anyone is alive is a miracle. They were trying to keep the plane from sharply veering to the right and colliding with everyone below. The plane's steering was off and nobody knew to get out of the way, and it's not like planes have horns or anything, so there was no way to tell them that they were in the way, while everyone on the ground was folding their arms and waiting. The pilot was freaking out and applying a maneuver called asymmetric reverse thrust. Basically, he reversed the engines to change the trajectory of the landing. It cost him a wheel but spared others their lives. So the lesson of this scary video is to assume the worst and give planes plenty of room to land. Situations like this don't always have happy endings. If there was a soundtrack to your nightmares, it would probably sound like this. Posted to TikTok by Hannah Hallett, she writes simply, help? You'd be seeking help too if this Yankee Doodle was blaring outside your window in the darkness of night. Hannah captures what looks like an ice cream truck making a U-turn on her road in the darkness. Well, that's a little odd considering the time of day, but not overly scary. The fact that the truck's haunting children's music is blaring from its speakers, even as darkness envelopes the night, is absolutely terrifying. Who is this ice cream man trying to attract? Imagine this nightmare fuel filtering into your subconscious as you fall off to sleep. Pretty sure nightmares would be a guarantee. This Aztec wind instrument has been terrifying people for hundreds of years, and you're about to be next. The noise is supposed to replicate your final screams and is even said to haunt your dreams. Listen to this and tell me how stressed out it makes you, if at all. Here it is again, this time in a professional recording studio to get the full effect. I definitely can hear how this sounds like someone screaming for their life. Can you? A YouTuber named Jude the Cool Dude is making a video tour of his house when he discovers something new on the 3rd floor.
Wait. Wait, is that a door?
Concealed behind a hidden wall panel is a cramped room with extremely small furniture, including a tiny table with a single candle for light. Terror spreads across Jude as it dawns upon him that he could very well be standing in the hiding spot of an intruder who has been living here for some time. It even looks like whoever inhabited this place may have rerouted the wiring to divert power to this part of the house. It's almost impossible to tell if this video was staged or legitimate, but with all of the stories I've read about people living in houses for years without being discovered, I really wouldn't be surprised if this was real. Either way, Jude decides to quietly close the trapdoor and never mention this find again. This pair of Russian men took the lives of some of the most vulnerable amongst us, the homeless, and they did it so cruelly that they thought it was best to film their evil. The young men used hammers and knives, taking the lives of 6 homeless people in November of 2010. They ranged from the age of 12 to 69. One of the young men's uncle discovered the video on his nephew's camera, and the pair were subsequently arrested and charged for their actions in April of 2013. One was given 24 years and the other was sentenced to life. Neither sentence seems long enough. It was May 17th, 1995. What San Diego was about to witness would be one for the record books. Sean Nelson thought he'd go for a joyride that day in an M60 tank. He broke into the National Guard Armory, rambled behind the wheel, and headed down Mesa College Drive into neighborhoods, crushing cars, busting open fire hydrants, and eventually leading police cruisers on a low-speed chase down Route 163. The crazy rampage lasted 23 minutes, all caught by TV news crews and police helicopters. The episode lasted until police subdued Nelson and he was lifted out of the tank, although there are many questions to be asked about this event. The big question is why? Why did he do it? Nelson had enlisted in the army after high school and served in West Germany in a tank battalion. His service record includes disciplinary problems and led to his honorable discharge in 1980. When he got home, he had a nice enough life for half a decade, got married, bought a home, made a decent living as a plumber, but then his parents passed away within 4 years of each other, and he couldn't cope with what happened. His wife filed for divorce. 5 years later, his life was in shambles. He had no money, his tools had been taken, his girlfriend left him, his house was in foreclosure. This is when Nelson went off the deep end. Literally, he started digging a hole 17 feet deep in his backyard. He told his friends that there was gold down there. Nelson's breaking point made for a frightening reality on this day in 1995. A flaming torch in the forest revealed this group was not alone. The uploader writes that these friends were having some drinks in the woods when two of the young women saw a mysterious creature watching them. In the clip, the group is enveloped in darkness. That is until one of them tosses a flaming torch toward a tree. It lights the brush at the base of the tree, and it also lights this creature hiding behind it. The extraterrestrial-looking figure is crouched low at the stump of the tree, but its large cranium and eyes briefly appear. You can see it back away for a moment behind the tree, and then as the camera moves in closer, its hands extend long, spindly fingers. What is watching them? It looks like something out of this world. Mother deer aimlessly walks in circles while its young grazes nearby. You can tell that one of her fawns senses that something is deeply wrong with its mother at the 1-minute 23-second mark, but it can't tell exactly what the problem is. Judging from the deer's high steps in low grass, it seems to have some sort of neurological problem, most likely CWD. According to the uploader, the mother deer wandered over to a nearby creek and fell into the water. She was unable to lift her neck out of the shallow water and passed away. They have been leaving some corn for the fawn to survive on. Hopefully they do not get CWD as well. This is purportedly the most haunted house in Guadalajara, Mexico. YouTuber Ricky Velasquez dares to enter, but he will soon regret it. As he tours the place, he spots this.
Una noche loca. Las personas que estuvieron en esa transmisión. Perro, ¿qué es eso? No mames.
Did you see that figure? As he continues throughout the home, it seems to be stalking him.
Oye, ¿quién eres? Da la vida.
Wherever he goes, it follows.
Pues muéstrate, no seas cobarde. Muéstrate, muéstrate, muéstrate. A la bestia, no mames. No, tranquilo.
Is someone there? Ricky keeps hearing noises, like someone is just out of sight.
¿Ha entrado sobre esto? No manches. ¿Qué fue eso?
After hearing humming during a spirit box session, things get wild.
No. Whoa. No.
I think this home is definitely haunted, but by what? I'm not so sure. This video resolution, which is fairly good quality, or at least better than most, catches a statue moving its eyes. From 8 seconds to 12 seconds, the statue has heavy eyelids that are almost shut. The person recording stops for a second to adjust the lighting, and that's when the statue apparently opens its eyes. Well, this would be bizarre to witness in person. I think this moving statue is a simple camera trick using angles and lighting. In the beginning, they record the statue at an upward angle with low lighting to make the eyes look more closed, but then they record at a downward angle with more lighting to increase the level of detail and make the eyes look more open. It's an interesting trick, but I doubt it's real. Or at least, that's what I think. Do you think it's real? Is this just a smudge in the window? Or is this ghost watching you? Published by Korean channel Lonely Gang in July of 2019, this scary video was originally captured in August of 2013. The footage shows a cameraman walking alongside some abandoned buildings at night. The camera turns down an alleyway when up in the corner of the window, on one of the buildings is a ghostly face staring at him.
작년 8월 19일 여름에 찍은 거죠. 부산의 모 흉가촌이죠, 흉가촌. 눈 동그란 총각이 저를 쳐다보고 있습니다. 흉가촌에서. 자, 저기 보이십니까?
A still shot of the window shows the creepy image up close, and it looks like a semi-transparent young man looking sideways out of the window. What is the identity of this ghost? Any guesses? All I can say is that whoever this is, it clearly wants people to stay far away from this building. A Facebook user named Andrea Collins believes one of her security cameras caught a ghost late in the afternoon on March 22nd of this year. And after taking a look at the evidence for myself, I think she's right. Ordinarily, I would say that this is a bug crawling across the camera, except in this case, it looks like a little ghost girl with a white dress and long black hair. It's also positioned perfectly in the middle of the screen, exactly where a human would stand. So my bet is that this is an apparition seeking help, or at least some attention. And if this is what Andrea sees in her yard, then chances are her house is haunted too. Two friends are riding down the Kerala highway in India when they see what they later agree has to have been a ghost of some kind. The figure is dressed in pure white and holding something, maybe a flashlight. Creepiest of all is how they seem to be deeply staring into the darkness at something. They are in such a deep state of concentration that they don't even look up when the car zooms by just a few feet away. They remain frozen in place and seem to be holding their face in surprise. If this is a ghost, then they could have been looking at the roadside remains of their own body. An old pensioner was restrained and harmed greatly inside this castle. As intruders ransacked his home, they left with incredible antiques, including a suit of armor once worn by Oliver Cromwell and Saddam Hussein's opal-studded gold ceremonial sword. The pensioner passed away the following year, while only some of the burglars were apprehended. Exploring with Josh enters the very place that this happened, known as Satan's Castle, in this scary video published in January of 2022. The first moment of tension comes from his own team as Josh looks down into the courtyard. And then again as he's examining the intricate ceiling decor stretched above like a spider web. Later though, things get real when they set an alarm off after yanking open one particular door. Still, the team returns to talk to the spirits. Using a spirit box app on their phone, they ask if they should leave and receive the following answer.
I thought I said please leave.
Shortly after, they hear footsteps from another room.
Someone's literally walking right now.
And then in the hallway, something loud is thrown.
I feel like it did. I don't have my microphone on yet. Hey. Someone's here.
Clearly in Satan's castle. Is it the pensioner who once called this place home, or Satan himself? This building is teeming with poltergeists, and YouTuber Han Kardashler is about to face off with them. They throw the first punch as soon as he enters, and they don't let up. They continue as he moves around the building.
Şaka mı bu ya? Gassal. Oğlum nereden geliyor sesin? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
But he doesn't leave until they become more aggressive. What do you think? Would you stick around in here? I think there aren't many worse places to be. A supposedly real ghost sighting was caught on dashcam video by VBO Life while exploring one of the most haunted places in Delhi. It happens fast, so watch closely or you'll miss the scary stuff. An apparition appears in front of them and they get freaked out, or so it seems. Slow it down and at 8 minutes and 22 seconds you'll see the spirit is supposed to be in front of the car, but the very bottom of its dress accidentally clips into the hood. So while this video's creepy, I can also safely say it's not real. This unknown creature sighting found frozen in ice has gone viral over the years despite lacking a backstory, or at least one I was able to research. Some people say this creature sighting is a half deer, half man humanoid that got trapped under the ice before they could resurface. I think this is a Photoshop though, and I'll tell you why. When you look really closely at this picture, as many times as I have, you'll realize the face is actually a Photoshop Jason mask from Friday the 13th. You can just barely mark out the air holes beneath the nose, like a hockey mask ordinarily has. The hollow eyes are also exactly the same dimensions as the Jason mask. It's a good Photoshop for sure, one that has fooled many people for years. But without video evidence, I have to believe this is a Jason mask with deer antlers photoshopped over it. Let me know if you think that's what it is. I would be pretty proud if I was the only one who finally debunked this picture. It's been creeping me out for a long time. When you reach the end of the road, you better just turn around, otherwise this can happen. Posted by TikToker Sharpski. The TikToker may have escaped something life-ending at the end of the road. In the clip, Sharpski is traveling down a dirt road in a field at night. As the group drives on, they see a group aligned in a formation at the end of the field. They say the figures look like they have heads. They conclude that they are people and urge the driver to turn around. If they are people, what are they doing at the edge of a forest at night? Well, some in the comments, like TikToker Chris Michael, think these are simply dual targets at an open range. Others require further proof. Neen writes, "Keep driving. I want to see from the safe distance of my phone." But since the cameraman wouldn't have that luxury, I'm not sure if he'd be willing to risk it all for us to find out what's really happening here. A TikTok user named Caesar in MP is piloting a plane when he sees an oddly terrifying unknown flying object skimming the clouds. Just below, the tiny circular object appears to have no propellers and emits no exhaust. It looks like it's moving extremely fast, but keep in mind Caesar is passing it in his own aircraft, so its exact speed is unknown. A regular civilian drone could not move at this rate of speed, and its design looks more complex than a regular drone. So what do you think? Secret project? Or something from someplace much farther away than Earth? We've all been warned never to pick up hitchhikers, but that advice especially goes for paranormal ones. This dash cam footage was posted in July of 2019. The dash cam's clock shows that the clip was taken around 2 in the morning. If you blink, you'll miss it, so pay careful attention. Driving down a dark and empty highway, the car is traveling at a fairly fast speed when, off to its right, in the empty lane, appears a figure. Some say it has its thumb out for a ride. Do you see it? Is it a ghost? Or is it just a regular person with a bad wish? After all, who hails a ride in the middle of the road during the darkness of night? Only someone who's looking to get run over, or at least doesn't mind testing fate, whether ghost or real boy. This isn't something you want to see while driving down a dark road at 2 a.m. It might very well send you into a terrified tailspin, making you the next ghost on the highway. This strange knocking happens at the same time every night and no other times during the day.
2:30 in the morning.
This is definitely no animal. Whoever is knocking wants to make its presence known and apparently wants to get in now, immediately. I can also hear a strange paranormal voice before they knock during this part. I don't think it's the television because you don't hear it during any other part of the video. He shows us the outside of the trailer, and clearly nothing is out of the ordinary. Yet when he returns indoors, so does the knocking from outside.
5 minutes has been doing it.
Hopefully whatever this is never gets the idea to try the door. Shimeo, New Mexico is where you'll find the famous Ghost Garage, a paranormal hotspot along the highway where a ghost or two just might climb into your car. This person thinks they have a real paranormal video of a spirit caught on tape in this video. I kind of see what he's talking about, but you really must pay attention, or you'll miss both of these two ghost sightings. Do you see their faces? I think I might. Then again, I would like to see the original video without the filter. Only then will we know what these bizarre figures truly are. The Wardrobe Ritual is one of the paranormal world's most dangerous games. YouTubers PIT Paranormal Investigation Team complete the ritual, which turns up more than they expected. Something grabs Debbie, and it isn't human. What was that? A human-like hand appears for a moment to grab Debbie's shoulder, but no one is behind her. I do believe the ritual was successful. They summoned a demon. Now the question is, how do you send it back? What hides in the shadows can oftentimes be shadows themselves. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Mego White, the Redditor explains that she and her husband were away from home over a weekend and set up the motion detector Alfred camera app in their room for the surveillance. When they returned from their trip, they were met with this unusual and terrifying video. The clip shows a fuzzy bedroom backdropped by a doorway with either a light on beyond or a natural source of light casting inside the other room. That light shifts as something is apparently moving enough to set off the motion sensor. In fact, that something appears to pass right across the doorway, blocking out the light beyond for a moment. You can make out a distinct figure. It's more like a shadow or a vague or even invisible figure that still somehow manages to distort the light. There is definite movement, but from what, we can't know for sure. Redditor JJ740 asks if there was an intrusion, to which Meg answers that all the doors and windows were locked and nothing was missing. She also notes that strange things have been occurring in this house for a matter of months. Like what? Meg explains we can always see a shadow walking out of the office through the wall into my closet, and I always thought I was seeing things until we caught this on camera. She also says in another comment that her kids have heard people talking, and her 2-year-old has even started laughing at something in empty rooms of the home. A Redditor writes, "That's actually genuinely creepy." Of course, as with every potentially paranormal clip, you have your insect theories, but most agree that the clip looks legit and not edited or faked. What do you think? Are you freaked out? I certainly am. A YouTube channel called Paranormal Voyages has one of the best videos of otherworldly evidence I've seen in a long time. This haunting video was taken at the Clown Motel in Tonopah, Nevada, a place where you can spend the night with over 2,000 creepy clown dolls inside. While they're busy addressing any spirits nearby, one of the life-size clown mannequins reaches out for a ghost hunter and possibly makes contact with them. Watch its arm move on its own.
Are you a textual?
She looks back genuinely surprised, only to see the clown doll smiling innocently at her, as if it's never moved by itself. I guess somebody could have been hiding behind the creepy doll to make its arm move, but if not, then this would have to be one of the scariest moments I've ever seen caught on tape. Nothing like an old village to cruise for some ghosts. Published in September of 2015, this footage purportedly shows a ghost near some old village homes. It's unclear where this video was shot, so it could be any old village anywhere in the world. Let's explore it. The clip takes in the surrounding area of these homes. Nothing appears out of place, although the homes seem to be abandoned. The camera follows some birds on a roof before panning down to capture some ants on the ground. The shot pulls up from the grass and mud and pans around the area. That's when you see it. Too quick to make out any details, an apparition in all black appears on screen for a brief moment, standing off in the distance on some pavement. The figure is still as the shot moves around. What is this? Do you think it's a ghost too? That's at least what the uploader claims. Many have debated whether it is or not, and with no other footage, it will most likely remain a mystery for the foreseeable future. When the paranormal team Cazadores de Sombras went to investigate this ritual site, what they found was a living nightmare. As they approached the site, they find what appears to be a body levitating high above a fire pit.
Que isso aí, galera?
They later hear something in the surrounding woods.
Tem alguém ali, velho. Na hora que apareceu, sai, mano. Os caras vindo. Vai. Os caras gritando, velho. Os caras gritando lá.
Now, back in the safety of their vehicle, they're left to ponder what their eyes saw. Without context, it's difficult to know what's going on here. Is this person being levitated by some dark magic? And for what purpose? I can't provide any insight on this one, but I do know that I'm super creeped out by the events here. Exploring abandoned houses for paranormal evidence is an activity that's as old as YouTube itself, as this early video taken in August of 2005 shows. The team of amateur ghost hunters are exploring an abandoned house from the street when activity within lets them know it's quite haunted. At 2 seconds, one of them points to an all-white apparition and they all take off. I don't think this is fake because video editing was not that common back in 2005, and when you play it in slow motion, you can actually see the mysterious figure go from right to left across the doorway. It's bizarre, sure, but was it a ghost? Is there something in the attic? Redditor Air Icers suspects so. After hearing tapping on the attic wall, they meet it with Sage. And this is what they captured. What was that sound? I tend to agree with Titus that this sounds like a metallic spring bang, but that doesn't necessarily negate a paranormal presence. Perhaps the spirit's just jumping up and down on the bed. Keep your eyes peeled for this one. YouTuber Cryptid Encounters shares this scary video of an unknown creature in the darkness. Did you see it? Watch for the closet. What is that thing? The creature's eyes are glowing. Human eyes don't do that. Is this some sort of nocturnal cryptid species? I think it might be. Its skin looks reddish, although that may just be the light. It otherwise looks human, but somehow not human. Video was taken at a famous car race in France called the Citroën Rally. A police officer is keeping the peace when he makes the mistake of not looking both ways before crossing the road. His carelessness nearly gets him annihilated when one of the contestants comes rushing around the bend. The officer puts his arms out at the last second, but this would have done absolutely nothing to save him. That papery smacking sound you hear is the back of his vest actually making contact with the car. Amazingly, the police officer brushes off the event like it's no big deal, and the crowd barely has a reaction either. Maybe they've grown accustomed to close calls. Unidentified flying devices do exist, posted to the very spooky video subreddit by Yuli Bon. This strange ghostly robot figure was captured on film in Peru. The figure is blue and glowing. It illuminates the night but dims slightly as cars pass on the highway beyond, and as it appears to drift further into the distance, Redditor Planet Niles suggests that it's a costume writing. When the brightly lit trucks pass behind it, the camera can't pick it up against those, so instead it casts a shadow, which means it's a solid object and not a phantom. Others remark that 3 a.m. is witching hour, so who knows, it could be anything. What do you think it is? Will this couple live happily ever after? Shared by YouTube channel blah blah, this video was originally posted on TikTok. The mysterious video of what appears to be a wedding party is trending in the Arabic-speaking YouTube community. A pair of newlyweds sit together with a forlorn look on their faces, while an officiant reads through some documents or scripture with the wedding party gathered round. We can assume all is normal, but a moment later something unsettling happens. Watch the bride-to-be. What came over her? Her eyes grow wide as though she's suddenly become possessed by something. She then follows an unknown object above before having a strange fit and appearing to silently scream in pain. Did a mysterious force from above possess her? Or did that force simply strike in that moment and cause her agonizing pain? It's hard for me to tell here what may have happened without further context or an extended video, but if I had to guess, I'd say something possessed her. It's all in the eyes. This footage was taken after hours by a staff member on a college campus in North Yorkshire. It was shot through a classroom window and shows the outline of a person attentively studying at a computer, seemingly without knowing that they were being filmed. The only problem is that no one else should have been in the building at the time. The video could be CGI, or it could be the actual weightless black mass of a real ghost. A Pasco, Washington couple wants to get really scared, so together they concentrate deeply on finding a human through the Randonautica app, which takes them to a random dumpster on a hot summer day. They peel back the lid and find a single trash bag that looks full. By now they are sufficiently terrified that they might have actually found something disturbing with Randonautica, and so they close the lid without exploring what's inside. After all, there's no need to call the police if you don't actually see anything. Amanda and her friends want to see if randonauting is really a thing, and so they do something clever that I haven't seen in any other Randonautica videos. They write down what they want to see and never say it out loud just in case the app is listening in. They concentrate on finding a rainbow because they think that this object would be the last thing to be able to creep them out. They were wrong. Randonautica helps them find this unforgettable experience that has them screaming in their car. It's a multicolored rainbow fence, followed by a real one not too long after. That can't just be a coincidence, right? The roads in Guwahati, India are apparently haunted. Just ask Abhinash Kishore, aka the Mind Hunter. He pulls up behind a vehicle with an extreme background story that I'll get into in just a second. First, try to translate what he says about this truck, and then I'll tell you what I was able to research.
Guys, ঘুৰি থাকোতে থাকোতে ভূত বিচাৰি থাকোতে থাকোতে এইখন সন্মুখত কি গাড়ী দেখা পাইছে নে ৰব ভালকে দেখুৱাই দি আছো গাড়ীখন অলপ আগুৱাই দিয়া
Okay, so get this. I did some deep digging and found out that this truck is actually the only hearse service offered in the area. Before this company came to be, people used to carry the departed to the nearest graveyard. As an extra bonus, on this blog post, I found information on 3 extremely creepy but also saddening comments requesting the service as soon as possible. That means within this metal container could be someone passed away, so when he finds not 1, but 2 of these vehicles lined up in the middle of nowhere, he knows that something really bad must have happened, and he better not stick around for long. Unfortunately for him, the time to leave safely has already passed.
Stop.
The Mindhunter's assistant gets scared and drives off, but the Mindhunter will have none of it and makes him return. There is another brief sighting until the figure fades away into darkness. This alleged ghost sighting caught on video could simply be a third member of the group, but since it happens not far from where they found the abandoned vehicles that could have had passed away people inside, it could be real. Steve Richards and Jason Griffiths make up the Ouija brothers, a fearless ghost hunting duo from the English Midlands. What makes them different from most, aside from their bravery, is that they are more skeptical and often set out to debunk famous haunted locations rather than promote them. With that said, they may have met their match at Shepton Mallet Prison. Built in 1610, Shepton Mallet Prison is the oldest prison in the country and also was the longest running until its closure in 2013. 4 centuries of brutal treatment have since created hostile spirits who were, for the most part, already not good people to begin with. So much horror has happened here that a strange feeling of negative energy is said to have washed over the very walls themselves, and it isn't long before the Ouija brothers, despite their usual level-headedness, find themselves looking over their shoulder and questioning every sound. Sure, any building that's centuries old is bound to make some really creepy noises, and some of what they record just sounds like the foundation setting and stuff like that. But other encounters, like what happens here only 2 minutes into their investigation, seems to be in response to a very specific question.
Are you upstairs?
I agree with them that it's coming from somewhere above, but let me know if you do too. Whatever's following them, it seems to prefer to have a height advantage at all times. But check this part out at 8 minutes and 25 seconds. Jason actually looks up a split second before he hears the noise. So did they plan this and he messed up? Or did he sense it moments prior?
Is that you?
He was up above, weren't he?
Confident they found a particularly haunted prison wing to explore, the Ouija brothers walk past each cell, encouraging anything inside to come forth, and they gently coax the spirit into revealing itself. Steve is too busy looking straight ahead and misses the light anomaly appear against the wall right next to him. I fully admit that it could be their camera equipment, but it never happens again a single time. And get this, the light appears at the exact same moment. Jason wanted to know if the spirit remembers what life was like at Shepton Mallet Prison.
If you wish to come out, knock on the door that you want to come out of. Do you remember?
Neither of them see this though, and so unaware that it's already worked, Jason continues to talk to the spirit about how the prison guards were able to go home while they had to stay here, and out comes the loudest bang of all.
Whoa, what was that?
But that's not all they hear. They get out the electromagnetic meter to try and measure air currents for paranormal activity. Nothing happens at first, but then it beeps loudly and turns green for a long time. They can't get the meter to do it again, and are trying to figure out if this was a glitch when they are interrupted by something scary mid-sentence. I'll enhance the audio to make it easier to hear.
It sounded very violent, didn't it?
It's a small, muffled voice from far away, so tiny and distant that it shouldn't have even registered on camera, not with that heavy door closed behind them, and yet it reaches their ears with alarming clarity. They agree it's a woman, but still they are unable to pinpoint its exact location, and when they go outside, the prison is as empty as ever. According to legend, this could be the voice of one of the oldest prisoners, a woman known only as the Woman in White. She is said to have taken the life of her fiancé and passed away in 1680 from regret. Now she wanders the A and B wings moaning her sorrows, and as they are searching for her, the electromagnetic reader they left behind goes crazy once again, indicating that while they may have left the room, perhaps she has not, and the reason why they were able to hear her so clearly was because her ghostly presence had been standing not in another room, but behind them all along. While streaming live at a New Orleans graveyard at night on February 8th, 2020, Franco TV encounters not the undead, but the living. In the beginning, he describes his first encounter with a man in the graveyard, explaining that he'd been warned that thieves in New Orleans like to come after people who explore the city's graveyards at night. He said he'd encountered this man twice already in this episode, explaining that the man was on foot, had a book bag and approached him, passed him, and then circled around while he was outside of his car walking through the mausoleum. He feels a bit shaky from this encounter and says he doesn't know if he's going to exit his vehicle again, but he follows his audience's risky advice and does anyway. As Franco is out, walking around the creepy stone grave solo, he starts to feel unsafe again, and after a time returns to his car. He is examining an above-ground crypt from his vehicle when he hears some footsteps. He continues to drive around the cemetery, saying he heard something from behind his car that sounded like a knocking. He says he can't get out of his car again because he thinks someone else is there. In fact, there he is. After turning around, Franco zooms in on a man walking toward him down the cemetery road. What is this man doing in a graveyard at night? Is he too live streaming for YouTube? It certainly doesn't look like it. Franco doesn't know what to do but continued to drive, passing the guy seemingly without issue. He speeds up, getting out of the graveyard as quickly as possible. As he tries to find the exit, he says the man was literally chasing after his car. He says he felt the man hit the back of it, and as he flees, explains that he must get out of there and find a safe place. He then warns viewers not to enter a New Orleans graveyard at night, as if we needed any warning after watching this. There are some things that make you so nervous you can never unsee them. They remain on the backs of your eyelids when you go to sleep at night. This entry will make you stay out of the forest. Redditor Film Direction wrote, "Aw man, Chills is gonna be all over this in his next video." And he's right, I am. Posted by Rabbit14K, this video of a so-called forest guard was captured in India. The clip shows a vehicle driving at night down a dirt road surrounded by forest. It must be drizzling, as the windshield wipers are moving. Then up ahead in the middle of the road is a figure in white flowing robes. The figure's head is covered, and when we never see its face, as the vehicle backs up, the figure walks slowly and strangely off the path and into the trees. As the vehicle continues to reverse, it disappears, swallowed by the darkness. According to Redditor Vixen Ross, this might be a holy man or woman, as the Sri Sararda Devi wears similar robes to these worn by our forest guard. Others note that it's a bit on the dark side for a midnight stroll, even for a holy man. Did this video make the hair on your legs stand up? Did it give you chills? Did it make your nose start running? And what do you think? Is this human or a demon? Thank you so much for getting me to 40,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Can you help me reach 50,000 subscribers? Thank you.